The end is near. Season finale of The Bachelor is next week. So let's break down the preview for next week's final episode of The Bachelor. Hey guys, it's Kayla Thompson. Welcome back to another shared news panel. I've got Kayla Galloway with me today, and we're gonna get into this new trailer of the final episode of Zach's season. But before we do, you know the drill. Give us a like, make sure you're subscribed to Shared News, and hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with us. KG, hi friend. How are you?
Hello.
I haven't seen you in like a whole week.
I am great. I mean, last night has me feeling some type of way. Like this season really just like took a turn.
Whew. This season,
Right?
this season was crazy. Like I didn't think, well, this last episode was crazy because first of all, we have to talk about how wrong we were in our last panel of like breaking down the promo for this episode of Fantasy Suites. We had it so wrong. We were like, oh, it's either Ariel or Kaity that he broke the rules with, he slept with. You know, Gabby's upset. I had this whole theory of like Gabby's upset next week and they really like threw us off with like 2 days. Girl, crazy. Tell me how tell me all your thoughts because we were off.
They really tricked us. There's only one thing I was sure about going into Fantasy Suites, and that Gabby wasn't the one Zach slept with. And so when that happened, my jaw was on the floor, and just how it all went down and how Zach was really just the mastermind of his own destruction to me, right? Like it was all
mastermind.
Zach made the right? He made the problem for himself. And it just the way I saw him navigate this week. I'm not gonna lie, I love the drama. This was actually one of my favorite episodes. But at the same time, it's because I'm riled up and I'm so mad at Zach. Like it's a good episode when you like those real emotions come up, right?
For sure. No, absolutely. Like me and my friends were texting during it. Like one of my friends even got like emotional and she was kind of like relating to the whole situation that happened with Gabby. But I think the interesting thing that I'm curious about that like, I want to know your thoughts is like, well, you kind of said it, but I guess like, it's like Zach making this whole declaration of no sex and making it a thing, like, is what really triggered it. But there's also an argument of like, well, Gabby kind of, she was the one that was like, well, maybe we will have sex. And she kind of showed like a shimmer of like, I'm gonna maybe break the rule. Like she wasn't on board as much as Ariel was like, you know what? I respect the boundary. Absolutely. Okay, cool. Whereas Gabby kind of said, so I'm kind of seeing both sides, but yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen Gabby open up throughout the season and even specifically on her fantasy suite day date that she's been in really crappy relationships in the past. She's been cheated on. She always feels second best and how she's feeling as she is the second fantasy suite of the week, which is, how does she know that, by the way? I'm curious. But she's having those emotions come back up. And I think all of us as women can kind of relate to that to a certain level, depending on what type of relationships you've been in. But like bringing kind of some of that baggage to your current one. And honestly, I just think she wanted to feel and be closer to Zach to not feel that second best. And unfortunately, her past relationships kind of made her feel like that was the right move for their relationship when it potentially wasn't. But for me, I put all of the blame on Zach because he's the one who set his intentions and lied, and then afterwards made Gabby feel terrible about it. And pretty much said, hey, like, I don't regret what we did, but I am going to tell my other girlfriend about it because I like her more. Sorry, that's how I took it. And I think that kind of continued at the rose ceremony when I'm going on a rant, but when he tells with all three of his girlfriends there being like, I said something and then I broke the rules. And to me, it was him saying sorry to Kaity, who is his obvious front runner right now, and not caring at all about Gabby's feelings in it. And especially the way, like, at the end, when they all come together and cheers, and how Gabby's like, he didn't even look at me in the eye. He was only looking at Kaity. Oh, it set me off. It set me off, Kayla. What do you think?
Yeah. No, KG, no worries. Rant away, because there's so much about this to unpack. I think, honestly, the first issue, you're right, is Zach deeming this week no sex week and he's putting this label on it and then he's adding this rule to it. And I think he got really caught up in the show of it all. And it's weird because Zach has shown such intentionality and kind of like trying to go about this where he's compartmentalizing the relationships. And I think that's a good way to do it because the show is not real life, right? So we can't yeah, so I think it's like you have to find a good balance of both. I think he got too caught up in worrying about maybe the edit or how it was gonna look. So he was just trying to be like, I'm not having sex at all, and kind of have this honorable, he's very honorable, right? He values like sticking to his word, and I think that ties in with his edit and how he's viewed as the bachelor. I don't think he's so intentional about that being a good bachelor, but I think he got maybe caught up in it. And so with that being said, the way that I see it with both Katie and Gabby, Zach more so for me got caught up in he put his relief and his like being honest and being relieved by that over their feelings, both of them, both Gabby and Katie, because he hurt Katie's feelings. He did not have to tell Katie that at all. They could have went on the date and it had been fine. She didn't have to know about the whole situation with Gabby or him saying he didn't want to have sex all week or whatever. Like, but because he had put that pressure on himself, it's like he put that over, he put his relief over their feelings. You know what I mean? And I actually feel like he might actually be seriously torn. I think we're gonna see it a lot in this trailer here. I think he might be seriously torn, but at the end of the day, between the two of them, but I think at the end of the day, Zach, he really clearly values like doing the right thing, being a good person, and all these things. And I think it's a little bit naive of him that he lives in this black and white, space. Like it's a gray
Mhm.
area. Like, and because of this rule he put, it's like it really like the whole point of Fantasy Suite Week was like defeated. It defeated the purpose of you going into the overnight. You don't have cameras, you don't have mics. No one has to know what was said, what was done. I mean, even with his whole thing with Rachel, it's like he keeps bringing up the Rachel thing, but we don't actually know what happened because that's the point, right?
Mhm.
It's like it's a private
Yeah.
moment. And so it just felt like very like I'm just spinning my wheels over watching last night's episode because I'm just like this doesn't even have to be an issue if it was just let Fantasy Suite Week and overnights be what it is, which is a private moment with the three women that you're dating that no one has to know what happened. So it just was a lot of like, what is going on, Zach? So I agree with you in that I kind of do put it all on Zach. But I do think it's an interesting point of what you brought up with Gabby feeling like I think we're obviously making assumptions. We never heard her say these things of like she wants to have sex to like add to their relationship or make sure she's the chosen one.
Mhm.
But it's interesting that we know for sure they did have sex. Now we don't know if him and Katie did because they didn't even show the morning after, which is I'm so mad they didn't show
That's
me
a whole
that.
other
But
thing.
it's interesting that whole other thing in the rose ceremony, like Gabby is the one who's feeling slighted. It's just it's so unfortunate. And if Zach does choose Katie and him and Gabby end on a really really bad note, I don't know how fans are gonna take that. So
Mhm.
this season is went from boring that a lot of people felt it was boring to like, wow, I'm pulled in because this is going to be interesting to unpack. So, with that
Totally.
being said, I think it's time that we go ahead and take a look at this preview for the finale of The Bachelor. Ready?
I can't wait. Mhm.
All right, let's get into it.
It's the incredibly emotional season finale of The Bachelor.
Last week with the overnights, I tried to do something that was trying to help everyone out, and it honestly bit me.
Well said.
All right, so yeah. It seems like Zach is still ruminating over last week. Mainly he's catching his parents up on what happened with Sex Week. And KG, I don't know, I can't help but think of last season of The Bachelor with Clayton, where he was telling his parents what happened with the whole, Rachel, Gabby, everything, and his dad fussing him out. And it's just interesting to me because I feel like it's like we're watching the past kind of repeat itself with Zach, even though Zach probably, went into this knowing about Clayton's season and was like, I'm not trying to do what Clayton did. And it's like, here we are again. And it's another overnights week kind of failed. But yeah, what are your thoughts and how do you think his parents will respond?
Yeah, well, first of all, I've been waiting for his uncle, Emperor's New Groove guy, for a while, so I'm hoping he's somewhere in that room, even if it's
Listen.
not shown. Because I've been looking
So
forward to that,
right.
but I feel like he would call him out. But I don't know.
You
I
would.
just I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, I wouldn't go to my parents and talk about my sex life, but I guess he kind of has to going into it, and I think he's just dealing a lot with the backlash of what happened, and so needing
Mhm.
that advice from his parents, and also they're meeting these two women and kind of knowing that backstory, I think probably would be important, especially if he is so torn, to help him make a decision.
Yeah, for sure. And good point on Uncle Pat not being there. I don't think he's there, KG. I feel like if he was, they would have
I'm
shown us.
bummed.
So so bummed. I literally forgot about that. We literally did not get him all season. But yeah, let's keep moving forward. Let's watch our next clip.
Both Katie and Gabby are still feeling upset with me.
Do you regret the decision that you made with me?
No.
Okay, interesting stuff. Because Zach is saying that both Gabby and Katie are still upset with him over last week,
Mhm.
which I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm kind of thrown because I feel like, well, I'm curious, I'm pulled in for sure because I thought that Katie was pretty much over it. Like, I don't know. Like, did you feel like their conversation during their fantasy suite was like finite? She's good. We don't have to talk about it anymore. Like, why is Zach why is Zach saying Katie's still upset? I'm lost. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like like you said earlier, we did not see the kind of morning after their fantasy suite, so we don't necessarily know how they
That's
ended
true.
it there and after like talking all night and maybe something else. But I feel like there
True.
has to be, even if she has chosen to move forward with Zach and has expressed that to him,
Hmm.
it doesn't mean that she still doesn't have those same feelings and maybe even maybe her heart didn't have doubts in that relationship before this happened. And even though she
Hmm.
was looking forward, wants to be with Zach, it doesn't automatically make what happened go away, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I can see her sitting with it maybe and it's still kind of bothering her. I know her and Gabby are really close as well. So
That's
we'll have
another
to
whole
see
other
like
layer
how
right
it's
there.
still, yeah, adds a whole nother layer. So we'll have to see how that affects Katie. And then for Gabby, I think obviously we see Gabby asking Zach, do you regret this? Like she didn't really get to, because at the rose ceremony, she was still upset. And I wish she
Hmm.
had just told him before when he went to her house or whatever. Like, I wish she'd just been honest in the moment and been like, they had that conversation then because it doesn't feel too late. But yeah, anyway, she's gonna ask
Hmm.
him that. It looks like it's maybe during the parents' date, although I don't really know if we see
Mm.
her meet the parents in this preview. But anyway, how do you think this whole thing with Gabby is gonna go on the like meeting his parents on the heels of last week? Like, what are your kind of predictions, maybe?
That'd be awkward. Like I honestly, she was going back and forth, at least in her interviews during that rose
Yeah.
ceremony, if she was even going to accept his rose. And I'm not gonna lie, I was on the other side of my
Hmm.
television screen, like screaming for her to reject it. I would have lived for that moment. But I mean, I think she's asking the right
Wow.
questions. She needs to get to the bottom of it because she's really,
Hmm.
whether he intended to or not, it doesn't really matter. He made her feel awful. And I think it's interesting the
Of
look
course.
of shock in his face when she asks, like, do you regret it? And I think all of his actions have
Hmm.
pointed to that he does. So for him to be so shocked that she
Mm.
potentially thinks that, I just think he's not really self-aware of that, at the moment, at least.
Yeah. See, I do think, and then we can move on. I do think that
Hmm.
for Zach, I don't think he regrets it. I don't. I think he really is in a gray space of like, I'm glad that me and Gabby had that moment together, but at the same time, I'm upset that I broke my rule. I feel like those two things are almost like they're the same thing, but they're kind of two different things, I guess,
Hmm.
for Zach. That makes sense. And I think
Yeah,
again, I think he put his relieving his own stress and worry and like uh harping on himself over breaking the rule, him like letting that out and being honest, he put that relief over Gabby's feelings. And I think that's really the issue. But anyway,
I
let's
agree.
move on to the next clip because there's more to unpack. Let's do it.
I want to try try to fix and alleviate loss of trust. I know it's scary and it's hard.
On the back of my head is like, what is he saying to Gabby?
I know this is not what you want to hear, but
Okay. Did you hear Kaity say in the back of my head, what does he see in Gabby? Or what is he
That
saying to
happened?
Gabby? Because that's wild if Kaity said what does he see in Gabby? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of rude for her to say that.
Yeah,
Did
I
you hear
didn't
her
hear
say
that,
that?
but if she's I did not, but if she did, I'm forever team Gabby on that one. Katie can't say that. I thought she was more of like saying like, but what is he's saying to Gabby? Are you saying that's a separate quote?
Actually, let's just play the clip back and really listen hard and see what she says. Let's watch it again.
On the back of my head is like, what is he saying to Gabby?
I know this is not what you want to hear.
Okay. Got it. So I heard what in the back of my head, what is she saying to Gabby? Correct? That's what you heard, right?
Yes, that is what I heard too. Oh, I couldn't even imagine if he said the other.
Okay.
She said the other thing, but yes. So I mean,
My
it's very interesting the
gosh.
dynamic between them all.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like Zach saying, you know, like I'm trying to alleviate the trust that I broke. So it's clear that Kaity isn't over it. And maybe even like now I'm thinking she's probably also realizing Gabby is my friend as well. Like she probably looked at her at that rose ceremony and was like, oh, this girl's upset. Like, you know, so maybe it's
She
coming from
had to
that
have known.
angle as
Mhm.
well. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
think I
definitely
think she did
when
know. So
yeah, and definitely
go
kind
ahead.
of what you said of like she looked at Gabby at that rose ceremony. We totally forgot to talk about their little like
I
2 second
know.
conversation of like, I
That
know you were
was
the only one. Some people are calling Katie shady, but to me, I was just like, they're just like trying to catch up with each other because your bestie is the main part of the drama of that week. Like you guys need to check in and make
mhm.
sure what Zach is saying is matching what he's saying to you. You know, I thought it was almost like made me like, yeah, that's a friend. Like they're like checking in with each
Yeah,
other.
for
Um,
sure.
but I think, I mean,
Yeah,
who
absolutely. And
knows what
mhm.
that friendship will turn into after this?
Right. I mean, it's interesting. And we haven't seen a whole lot of it on the show, but it's kind of clear with behind the scenes stuff, the extra scenes they put in the episodes. Yeah, also I just think the whole edit of that moment was weird. You know, I think we see Katie or hear Katie saying, "I know you were the only one," but also it's like we don't really see her mouth. I know they do Frankenbiting. It's just like it's a weird thing, and it kind of just cut in. It seemed like even when she said that, maybe Gabby's response wasn't directly to that line. I don't know. It was weird. So I would need to see the whole moment like played out to really figure out if it was shady or not. But I really I really don't see Katie saying it to be rude to directly to Gabby's face. You know what I mean? And with this clip that we
I
just
agree.
watched, Katie is clearly saying, I'm curious what he's saying to her. Like what is he saying to Gabby? And how is this whole thing kind of being explained by Zach to both of us? So we'll have to see it play out next week. Let's move on to the next clip.
It's like I'm so torn. Like it's the biggest decision of my life.
We'll make the decision. I'm sick of self-doubt. I'm sick of feeling like I don't know if I'm enough.
Kayla Galloway. I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming. Zach is clearly so torn. In the past couple weeks, like I don't know, we kind of saw it coming to this point. And it's interesting because with past leads, I feel like usually we kind of know. You know what I mean? Like let's take Rachel with Tino. Like we were like, oh, she's picking Tino. You know what I mean? With Michelle, it was like Brandon's amazing, but we've known for weeks it's Nate. You know, Nick Vial was a
Hmm.
bachelor where it was kind of clear Vanessa has been the front runner. But like Gabby and Katie have been pretty. I mean, Katie's gone ahead a little bit in the past few weeks, but I don't know. This in my perspective with Gabby, the way he's so like affirming and like when he said I'm falling in love, he was like, I want to say it over and over to her. Like he's really so I don't know. He's really, really torn. I don't know what he's gonna do, but all I know is Gabby is definitely the last person he should have said this to because I don't think she can take that. Like, and it's another thing where it's like sometimes Zach's honesty is just it's not the best idea all the time. You don't have to be that honest all the time. You know what I mean? Because again, it's putting his like honesty, he's putting his honesty or his truthfulness over like Gabby's feelings, just like he kind of did with Katie. Like Katie doesn't need to know, and Gabby
Mhm.
doesn't need to know now. Like, yeah, I'm gonna let you know right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I am torn. I don't know who. It's like Zach. So of course she's breaking down.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I
tell me your
really
thoughts
I
on this
really
whole
feel
clip.
for Gabby here. I have a little bit of a different perspective, and I feel like it's been pretty
Okay.
obvious it's Katie for a while, and that's why I'm watching this
Mm,
go down, and specifically the fantasy suites too. We just watched of like all these decisions he's making, and to me, it's obviously for Katie and their relationship after. Like, I don't,
wow.
maybe if he wouldn't have thought it was most likely Katie, maybe he wouldn't have told her about Gabby. And so that's kind of the lens I'm
Right.
watching it as, is him kind of dangling Gabby along and just to break
Mm,
her heart. That's how I see it going. But
no, yeah.
I mean, I hope I'm wrong. It's not
I
that
do
clear
see your
cut and
point.
dry, but
I do see your point. And even Gabby kind of saying, well, just make the decision. Like, you need to just make the decision. And it's interesting because I do feel like he slept with Gabby. If it was Gabby after they slept together, I just feel like, you know. You know what I mean? Like, I agree with you. He wouldn't need to tell Katie, but he still told
mhm,
Katie. But also, I agree that it's not cut and dry because it's like, then on the other hand, why, if it was Katie all along, why do that? Why go there with Gabby and say it was such a beautiful moment for your relationship? And why jeopardize your relationship with Katie? But either way, it's going to be crazy. We're going to have to watch it to find out. But in the next clip, someone's getting hurt, obviously. So let's just keep watching and see what happens next.
Are you prepared for, like, if it does go, like, the other way?
Somebody at the end of this is gonna get hurt.
Interesting. Now, before I get into, obviously someone's going to get hurt, I do want to point out, me, I got my eyes open, magnifying
love it.
glass. Katie has a floral dress on in this clip while she's saying,
Mhm.
essentially, she's saying someone's going to get hurt. And she has a different outfit on during the family date. So I think those two moments
Mm,
happen at different times. I mean, obviously,
yeah.
it all culminates to be kind of the same, make the same difference. But, obviously, she gets really emotional, maybe on the night portion of their last date together, and she gets really upset. So there's something going on here. I'm just this whole trailer's got me really really curious. But yeah, with what the family asked, I think that might be his sister, Zach's sister.
Mhm.
They're asking Katie, what if it goes the other way? Um, so what are your thoughts on, like, do you think Zach's family is gonna have a preference for who he should pick? Because usually the lead is gonna ask, okay, who do you guys who do you guys kind of like more, I guess.
Yeah. I definitely think her being in Austin, Texas, I don't know if his family also lives there, but I do think that would maybe give her
Mm-hmm.
kind of an up of just practicality, right? Um, but I
Yeah.
mean, I think she's really emotional of just like kind of past seasons. The night before the final rose ceremony, like try to think of how much you've invested in this relationship. You've met his family, that he's met yours. Like all of this, you're
Hmm.
so invested, and it's really your whole world right now. Like you don't have your phone, you don't have like you
Yeah.
can't go out to coffee and talk about it with your bestie. So
Right.
really these interviews with your producer, that is the coffee with your bestie, venting and like being scared.
Yep.
And I feel for
Jesse and
them. And
Sean Lowe on FaceTime. That's all he's got.
don't get me started with Sean's appearances, but yes.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely feel for them, and I think they're gonna like Katie better. I do. Whether
Ooh,
they'll say it or
interesting.
not.
Yeah, I think right. I think they'll probably do what most parents do, in the show, which is like, hey, well, unless you're Peter Weber's mom. Hey,
Yes.
I
Bring
like
her
both.
home.
Whatever you choose, whatever you choose is what you choose. We support you. But, I think one thing I actually forgot to mention is we don't actually see Gabby sit down or be even in the same frame with
Mhm.
his parents in this entire preview. So I'm almost like,
That's
is
interesting.
Gabby gonna make it to the parent? Because usually they will show like at least a visual of both. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know. I think that she will. I think maybe they just left it out for some reason because obviously the sister is saying, "What if it goes the other way?" So like, there's
That's
obviously
what I
another
was gonna
option,
say.
right? But
Yeah.
I just think it's
Could you imagine how
yeah. I just think it's weird
diabolical
that
that would
they
be? Knowing that the girls or
by his
other girls already sent
sister.
home and they're like, but if.
Just to mess with her. Oh my gosh. But no, I do think Gabby's meeting the parents has potential to be a little sticky and awkward, like you mentioned earlier in the panel. Just because I think they might sense, what kind of even if her and Zach talk about it beforehand, which I hope that they do before they go inside. Hope they
Yeah.
clear the air at least or try. I think they might still feel it a little bit that there's some lack of trust going on or loss of trust.
Yeah. I feel
So
like they'd have to feel that tension.
interesting. I think they might feel the tension. But let's watch our last and final clip to see what Zach is thinking at this point.
I've caused pain. I've made mistakes. But standing here with the ring, I just hope that it's all worth it.
Oh, there we have it. Zach is holding the ring. So clearly he has every intention of proposing to whoever he decides. But again, it just seems like he's really, really broken up about the decision between the two of them. I mean, he's clearly saying in the ITM, he's crying actually about hoping that it's all worth it. And we see him really broken up about it throughout that entire clip. And I think the other stress probably on him is, like he said at the beginning of the trailer, I have to alleviate this loss of trust between both of them. So I mean, there's a chance that it might be like Clayton last season where everyone's like, no, I'm not doing it. And Susie as well. It was like left him there at the
Hmm.
altar. So I don't know. What are your final thoughts? Kind of how this is going to end, KG? Because there's a couple different ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's every lead's like biggest fear of you get to do the
Hmm.
choosing the whole time and at the end you don't know if that person's going to choose you back, right? And
Yeah.
so do I think he will get engaged? I do. I honestly think they would be
Mm-hmm.
gone by now if they were really that upset about it. And it
Fair.
does suck. I like tried to imagine getting proposed to and like not being in a great space with that person. Like I feel like has to take away from your
Hmm.
proposal a little bit. Like you want to be like flying high. The best day of your relationship should be that, right? So it'll be interesting to see if he
Right.
can get to that place with whoever he chooses
For sure.
because otherwise, it's just like not a great start. And even if he does end up proposing to someone, they say yes, he's engaged. I don't have the highest hopes because of how Fantasy Suites went down, how great that
Hmm.
foundation will be, and how long that relationship will
Yeah.
last. I don't know. Do you think that this is?
Yeah.
Do you think he'll be with someone and it'll be like he'll be with them still after the final rose, or like what do you think? Predictions.
I honestly predictions. I think it depends on who he chooses in the end. I think if he chooses Katie, they have a better chance of staying together for a good amount of time. I don't have faith in like anybody that leaves.
Fair.
I'm sorry. It's been too many. Sean Lowe is the only one we have. That says a lot. Out of like 20 seasons of Bachelorette, 30 plus seasons, it's like, I'm sorry. It's nothing against Katie and Zach. It just kind of is the nature of it. But I think they have the
It's
best
against
shot
The
of
Bachelor and
making
men.
it longer. Yeah. No, I think they have the best shot of making it long and longer than he has with Gabby. I think if it's Gabby, it's going to be really, really tough. I think it was too much toying back and forth. Like she's still upset now. Like at least Katie showed a glimmer of like, okay, we can get past it. We got over it. Even if she dips back into
Mhm.
like, okay, wait, let's still unpack it. Let's still talk through it some more. Gabby is just way more upset. There's so many within their relationship. It's just been this whole experience. I think is just way too much the way Zach handled it. But then also Gabby has a lot to work through just personally. And for someone who's honestly a fan of Gabby, I would like to see
Mhm.
her kind of go through a healing journey single because I think
Mhm.
She puts her validation and her regulation of her emotions on Zach and on a partner, and I don't think that that's helpful for her to actually fully be secure in herself. I think you have to have it within you and not from an outside source, if that makes sense. So for Gabby's sake,
Mm.
I actually hope that I know it sounds crazy to say, but I hope that she doesn't get chosen because I think that'll be actually better for her. So that's my hope. My prediction is I think
Well
he's
said.
engaged. I think he gets engaged to Katie, but it's gonna be hard for Gabby. I hope she has I know she has like a whole village at home to kind of help her get through it. Her parents were amazing, so
Oh,
I
the
think
best dad
I
in
think she'll
Bachelor
be
history.
good. The best dad in Bachelor history. Well, we had a few pretty good dads. Grandpa
I like that
John.
he
I
wasn't
mean,
just, oh yeah, but that's the grandpa
come
category. I put him
on.
separate.
That's true. That's true.
I'm excited for the final rose for this meeting the family, but I'm most excited for after the final rose because I know Ariel is not
Mm,
happy watching back fantasy suites, and I want to see her reaction. That's like one of
really?
the main things I'm looking forward to.
You think Ariel? Well, first, girl, I don't even know if Ariel is gonna be after the final rose. When is the? I can't think of the last time they actually aired the third choice. You know what I mean?
Oh, I
Like
want her
on the
to.
AFR.
Okay,
Like
I'm holding out for it.
who? Bree wasn't there from Matt James' season. Joe wasn't there from
Mm.
Michelle's. They never show. I think Justin
Oh my
might
God,
have
you're so
been.
right.
Maybe. I don't know. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't really think Ariel is gonna care that much. Like, I feel like she might have pushback, but I feel like she'll be like, it's all good. Like, she took that breakup
She
on
did.
yesterday's episode. She took it
But
like a
I'm just curious
boss.
of what she
But
knows about what happened. See, it's just like the deception for me. If she feels deceived, maybe she'll feel some
okay.
type of way.
Fair.
We'll see.
Well, we're gonna have to see what happens next week. I think it's gonna be a really interesting finale. That about wraps up our panel today. We absolutely have to hear you guys' thoughts. So please leave us a comment in the comment section below. And also, don't forget to throw us a like, subscribe to our channel, because we do panels like this all the time, multiple days a week. So you guys definitely don't want to miss it. So hit the notification bell as well to get notified when we do post. Also, you can follow me, Kayla Thompson, on Instagram and on TikTok. And make sure you go follow my girl, Kayla Galloway, on IG and TikTok at Stop Wearing My Clothes Pod. She's always posting really cute reels. So go follow her on there. But thank you guys again for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.